in Dungeons and Dragons, there's something called alignment. A lot of people hate it. Um,
Do they
it
really?
basically goes along. Yeah, there's a lot of anger. It's completely unfounded because they're like, it's limiting my options. Like, no, it's you're just not doing it right.
Okay. I wasn't aware of
It's
that. I
like
mean,
the old,
I don't consume the while I play,
yeah,
obviously, and have played a lot, I don't consume the online D&D content the way you do. So,
yeah. Um, there's just a lot. I mean, but you are aware of the good old lawful good paladin trope, right? It's
yeah,
the
oh, yes, I absolutely people are I there are certainly there are players who are annoyed with other players and the way they play their alignment.
that is often how it is contextualized. Um, for those listening who aren't familiar with this, it goes along two spectrums, between chaos and lawful and good and evil. The way
With
I've
neutral
always
in
understood
between.
it, with neutral in between on both spectrums. I've always understood it as the law to chaos is your tendency to follow rules versus your tendency to actively try to undercut rules at the other end of the spectrum. And on the good to evil, it is basically a spectrum of selfishness, evil being, I don't give a shit about anywhere on earth other than me, being the furthest part, good being, I'm going to do everything I can to help as many people as possible all the time, even up to and including sacrificing myself to do so. Um, I think they lack nuance. I think you agree with me, generally speaking.
I do.
And as it exists now, you pick like one from each of the categories, right? So the categories are neutral good. You can be true neutral, which is neutral neutral. I think if you're listening, you probably are coming along and you're here with me now. So I'm just going to move on. What I would like to do is sort of insert the thing from the compass where instead of if you're being precise, you don't say southwest, you say south southwest. So you know that that means it's closer to the south than the west, right? So I would like to do the same thing with the alignments. For example, you could be neutral good, you could be neutral good good, or neutral neutral good. And that would imply sort of your priorities, if that makes sense. Does it make sense to you, Kyle?
It absolutely makes sense to me.
Do you
Um,
have any comments or criticisms?
Not really. I mean, you go from 9 alignments to most people would go, oh, 27. But no, because true neutral, you don't get any extra things on,
Yeah.
so you actually go to 25. I I like more choices. Period. No matter what we're talking about, I like more choices. You guys will learn this about me. Whenever there's a choice between more choices or less choices, I would like more choices. I don't think everyone should get more choices, but I would like more choices. So I like this better.
And and this ties into what I think the point, if you're playing, like sort of how you should use alignment, which is a role play guide, right? It's
Which is as a
if I am
compass.
this, yeah, beautiful, so well
Like
done.
I I
Good.
it points you in a direction, but you don't try to walk through the tree that's in front of you. It's okay to turn a little bit and walk around it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, at the least, like you, like if you're good, that should pretty much give you access to, at a minimum, everything, every action between neutral and good, depending on context. And I would argue you kind of always have access to all of it. And your alignment tells you what, if all things being equal, what would your character be most likely to lean towards? But like the tree, there could be important countervailing pressures, right, that make that impossible, damaging, whatever version of
Mhm.
shitty. That means you go a different way. Like, think about yourselves in your lives. Like, sometimes you act against your nature because you fucking have, right? Like, we all go to work. We don't all go to work. Enough of us go to work. I know most of us don't want to be there, you know? Like, but you go along because that's life.
Because it's more
So,
important to keep a job than to tell your boss he's an asshole.
for most people, not everybody.
No, that's why I'm unemployed and my wife takes care of me.
Hmm. He is a stay-at-home dad, so shut up. Um,
3 kids. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
I'm not going to
So
claim
shut up
it's the
more.
single most important job on earth. However, childcare matters.
Agreed. Weird coda on our little D&D chat, but I like it.
Now, and D&D, there are practical situations where you might run into your character being an intractable alignment whore. Makes sense. Um,
hmm
just because, like, certain, at least some D&D settings, there are, I would say most D&D settings, there are actual good and evil. Like, there are embodiments of
Yeah.
this that are mystic, like, they call them gods.
Yeah.
Um, that embody those things, and you might be a servant of one of them. And then, like, being intractable, particularly about the things that really matter to them, would
hmm
make sense. Like, because it's like, hey, I'm a druid, and I worship this goddess who really cares about this forest. Getting killed by this group of woodcutters may actually be less bad than betraying my goddess.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, like in practical real world, like you go, well, that's stupid. But that's
And that's
because
where
we
the
live
most
in a world where gods aren't real.
and that's where one of the most important things. Like I love storytelling. You know, I take this entirely too seriously. But if you're playing D&D and you're in that situation as a player, the one thing you have to remember, other than what would my character do, is I'm playing with a group of people I theoretically like, and I have no desire to make their lives miserable. Right. So the idea of this is to have fun. So sometimes, rarely, it is appropriate for you to do a thing that is hard and emotional and tough. But you got to make sure you're playing with the right group for that. That it makes sense. You know what I mean? Like that.
Hmm.
That's what everyone's in for.
And
Just sometimes
that you
you're not
have
trying to
the
have that kind of thing.
and that you have the
Go ahead.
right dungeon master,
Yeah. I
because
mean, and
it
that's
it really sucks to like throw your character to their death for no payoff,
yeah.
because
That's a great
that's
point.
not the way your DM wrote the story, and
Yeah.
therefore, like, it's and there are DMs like that. John's not
Yes.
one of them, by the way. John's a good DM.
Thank you, Kyle. I've played in Kyle's games. He's not like that either. So, or at the very least, he'd warn you 3 times before you
Oh
did
yeah,
the thing that got so killed. Um, and it wouldn't be it doesn't fit in my story. It would be this makes no fucking sense.
yeah. I'm not going to
Like,
punish you because you went against my plan. I am going to punish you if your character is doing something stupid based on your character.
yeah, yeah, exactly. If you're acting against the nature of your character and it's stupid and it's dangerous, there just comes a point where, like, you got to go Drago on that bitch. If he dies, he dies. And that's the hard part for me. I hate killing people. It's like when I was a boss, I hated firing people. It's just like, no, I am a DM that roots for my players. I want to lose. I get that not everyone's like that. I will not say they are wrong, but it is my belief that they are wrong. Um, and it's funny how many players have to hear, like, don't forget that the point of this is fun for everybody. Like, even I forget sometimes, and you remind me. It's like, okay, yeah, that made sense, but it wasn't fucking fun, was it? It's like, okay, I remember the conversation. It's like, well, when I was asking you, like, well, when can we do like make people miserable, but it's cool for the story? And you're like, when we're recording it. And I think that's actually the right line.
Yeah, yeah. Because when you're just playing for fun, you're just playing for fun. That's it.